Good day. So today I want to wrap up that Japanese education series that I was talking about. We're going to talk a little bit about Japanese elementary schools. I don't have that much to say, just one or two points that I want to touch on, and then yeah. So welcome back. Summer has finally completely set in, so I'm going to try to finish this before I start to sweat too much. So, Japanese education, elementary schools. Basically works the same way as most every place I've ever heard of. The US, it's the same. The difference is kindergartens aren't part of the elementary school. They're separate school system, yochien, right? And so kids go to public elementary school around 6 years old, start in the first grade. Elementary schools generally go up until sixth grade. Most elementary schools are public, although there are private schools, and particularly for specific groups, there we go. Specific groups. So there are Korean schools, there are Chinese schools, there are international schools, English-speaking elementary schools, lots and lots of different private institutions that are around. They do have to get accredited by a Mombusho for them to be part of the school system officially. So they do have to go through the curriculum checks and everything else, and have to bring everything up to spec to Mombusho standards, otherwise they don't get the license, as it has been explained to me. So one of the other things that I want to talk about is basically elementary schools have the same function pretty much all over the world. Start getting students to be literate, so learning letters, numbers, in Japan's case, kanji, hiragana, katakana. Start out with hiragana, katakana, Romaji to a certain degree around third grade, depending on the school, and then kanji basically for fourth, fifth, and sixth grades, and those are primarily learned by rote. And there's unfortunately not a whole lot of way around that because there are so many, and the students don't have the life experience to be able to put the other stuff together. So, but that's reading and writing at that point, basics. Basic mathematics, basic language skills, stuff like that, all are elementary school situations. Socialization, that's where you start to get into, group dynamics and everything else. So one thing that is pretty different is the relationship between students and teachers. So I talked a little bit about this in the high school video, and this is kind of where it begins. So there's a relationship between the homeroom teachers, and the students. Elementary schools have basically just homeroom teachers. And so those, like in the US, that teacher pretty much stays with the kids throughout the day unless there's a specialist that needs to teach social studies or something like that, or mathematics or whatever. But basic math, so probably, anyway, focus, right? So there's a much tighter relationship. It's much more of a parent and child relationship in the elementary schools than back home. I mean, even back home there is kind of a parent-child relationship, but they keep it a little bit more separate here. The teachers play with the kids and, run around and do the activities with them. And the thing that kind of bothers me is there's not enough separation, in my opinion, right? So I see students hitting the teachers, like coming up and slapping on the teachers and stuff like that, hanging on the teachers. And while that does help build the relationship between the teacher and the students and foster trust, in my opinion, generally it goes a little too far. And it makes it more difficult for the teacher to maintain discipline in the classroom. So it's hard to tell students don't hit the other student when it's okay to hit the teacher. So it seems like the system fights itself a little bit at that point, and that's really the one thing that I wanted to I don't want to say criticize, but critique about this about the system, about the Japanese elementary school system. I think that in particular is a problem, and teachers complain, oh, the students are crazy. I can't control them. I can't control them. And it's like, well, that's because they don't really have respect for you as an authority. I tell the students that I have who are going to be elementary school teachers, your goal is to be friendly, but not friends. You shouldn't be friends with the students at that level. You should be friendly, and but you're an authority figure. You're there to make sure that they don't get hurt, make sure that they stay safe. Hitting you is a bad example, and that's not going to help with students hitting each other, because if it's okay to hit the authority figure, then it's probably okay to hit the kid sitting next to me, right? So it's something that I think that schools need to look at a little bit more carefully. It's transitional, and so you're going to see that more in the lower grades, but I saw it in 4th, 5th, and 6th graders as well when I've gone for school visitations. So in my opinion, it's a problem. It's not a huge problem, but it does lay foundation for problems that develop later on, bullying and stuff like that. In my opinion, and it's strictly my opinion, I think that's part of the place where the groundwork can be laid. Groundwork is laid for any school discipline issues. So, yeah, overall, Japanese elementary school system, it's a decent system. There's nothing in particular wrong with it. There's nothing in particular that's going great, in my opinion. It really reinforces the rote memorization and stuff like that. There's not a lot of creative application of writing. But, I mean, how much really can you do? Creative applications for art and stuff like that, great, no problem. The art that the kids do in the classrooms is pretty decent. But again, it's not a separate art teacher usually. It's, drawing class or whatever, and the kids get to do a little bit of creative work, but pretty much after elementary school, it's done. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that. The music classes in Japanese elementary schools are very different from what I grew up with. Everybody's got the recorders, and the teachers all play piano. Playing piano at a certain level is a requirement for being an elementary school teacher, which I can see based on how the system is going, but really, I don't know. I suppose there's more in there to unpack, but I'm not going to. So, teaching in elementary school is, if you have a lot of energy, can be very rewarding. If you don't have a lot of energy, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. So that's my take on Japanese elementary schools, and kind of wrap up on the whole Japanese education thing. If you have questions, comments, something that you are curious about that I didn't touch, go ahead and leave a question in the comments. Actually, we're going to hold up our hand on the other side. Hi, how are you? Put a question in the comments. If you would hit the like and or dislike button, whichever you like best, share it. That would be fantastic. Gonna try to start building up the channel a little bit more. Later on today, I'm going down to Osaka, so I'm going to see if I can get a little hot summer video. We'll see how that goes. So keep an eye on the channel, and thanks for watching. See ya.